Yes. Hello, and this is Shambhavi from Shambhavi Spectrum. In this particular section, I'm going to talk to you about the calendar, how we use the calendar. Now, from the time we were school children, we always had the academic calendar in front of us, the school calendar, which would tell you when the holidays were going to be and when you would have exams or when the schools would open. And we were always so excited about that because that gave you all the holidays and you could mark yourself and be excited about that. In the same way, actually, last couple of years, whether it is UAE, which gives you the public holidays, or whether it is you know the India or any of your country which tells you what holidays are. In fact, digital marketing people really use these holidays and these calendars so that they can create posts and about things which people would like to buy or celebrations. Everybody uses a calendar. We all know that. Today, in this episode, I want to tell you how I use a calendar. So typically I used to use a calendar for a week. I would, use my phone, put in a reminder out there. But I also always had a desktop calendar, which is a hard copy, which is this copy of this. However, since last 2 years, I have started buying two copies of that calendar. One which is on my desktop here, which you can't see, and another one which is here. Now all this cost is 10 dirhams. That's all. Each set. Okay, so for the whole year. And how I started using this is not just by using a weekly calendar or a monthly calendar. I started putting out 3 months in advance. Now, as I have mentioned before, that I'm an academician as well as a consultant and entrepreneur. Now let me look at my role as an academician. If as a teacher I know that the exams are going to come up in this particular time of the year, like now we're going to have exams in June end, and the papers will reach us sometime in July where we have to finish evaluation. I can mark myself out there specifically and say that this is where my exam, where I have to be prepared to do the exam evaluation. As a student, if I'm doing some course, I'm doing some learning, I might be having weekly assessment, I might be having monthly assessment. I can put it out there and say, okay, this is this month, this is this week, this is this subject, and I can see how I'm supposed to progress. Now, how it helps me at a personal level is that if somebody is inviting me for a get together and I know that I don't have time because I need to focus on certain deadlines, which is like how evaluation, the faculty always gets about 48 hours or so, or maybe sometimes 72 hours in most universities. So in that sense, then I know that that week I cannot be available for any kind of get together or personal travel. Hence, what I would do actually is mark it out here so that not only I know about it, also my family knows about this, that this is what my schedule is looking like. Let me see now next as a consultant. So I offer consultancy and tell people that within a span of 45 days, we are going to have these number of meetings. So then what I do is I put myself, I mark here one, whatever, if I've had a meeting here, and then I mark myself for the second one, and then I mark the last day, the 45th day, which it's going to be. So in advance, a week in advance, 10 days in advance, 2 weeks in advance, I can actually go ahead and tell my client that please, when is it convenient to you in the next 2 weeks to have your third meeting or your second meeting. And in this way, we are aligned in our thoughts. Now you would ask me that what is stopping me from putting this in front in a digital calendar. I can do this in a digital calendar and I do that also. However, what happens with the digital calendar is that I need to open that day and to see what am I doing for the whole week. I can put my reminders, but how many times does it actually happen that you just switch off reminders? Doesn't it happen to you? It happens to me sometimes. So when I have this here, I'm able to see and say, no, my mind is niggling and telling me that there was something which I had scheduled, let's say for August 3rd week. So I can see it already that this is what I'm supposed to be doing in the month of August, in the third week of August, and I can plan myself accordingly. It is all about planning. For me, it's also very important to maintain a commitment that I have given to a client. The student academic relationship or the evaluation, that commitment, any case, comes from having your evaluators ask you to do this. You have a particular deadline by when only then the results can be released. So as an entrepreneur also, you can use this calendar. Let's say you have somebody, you have a number of employees, and if you have their vacation schedule in front of you as the boss, there's nothing wrong in it. You know that they are not there. Then why don't you just let them be and try to adjust the work accordingly so that they can come back and do it? Or if it's so important, you prioritize it and get it done earlier on. Also, on a personal note, as an employer, as an entrepreneur, you can mark the birth dates, the anniversaries, the special occasions, the company that you're dealing with. If they have some celebration, you can mark them in advance, you can wish them in advance, and you can be a part of the growth journey, whether it's for your employee or your boss or your client. So in that way, the 3-month calendar actually helps me. If you have the space for it, go ahead and put up the whole year. But 3 months, 90 days focus at one point is good enough, rather than trying to focus on too much or too less. Now, let me go back a little bit more to as a student, okay? As a student, and you could be a school student, you could be a student in university, or one of those who is doing some kind of course, which all of us talk about upskilling ourselves all the time. So it could very well be that as well. Under that condition, that you are a student and you need to know what the timeline, what the time frame is like, when your exams are going to be, when your assessments are due, when your peer assessments are due, and maybe your class, you have some break in between. If you have these marked out here, it is very helpful. Now, we can decide to use a single color and just mark whatever we want, but that's so boring, and I don't like boring. So what we can do, one is use different color pens, which I often use, like pink, and I use what is this, green. Okay, so any of these, I don't have to show them to you. You can use any of these and you can write on this. You can also choose to use different color post-it notes, like I have this, and you can get a whole set. Colors make us happy. Colors can also be used to identify your different priorities. You can use it for that. Let's say all blues are very important, all greens are somewhat important. The pinks could be something which you can take a look at it even in the next week. So you can write whatever you want to out here and put it up out there where you want on that particular date, or you can move around the date if that is how it is and you don't want to write too much in that area. So using a combination of a calendar, a hard copy, pens, and different color pens and different color post-it notes can make you more productive, more aligned. And why should we clutter our mind with things which are not so important, which we tend to do? And this I learned from Alec Padamsee many years back in a workshop he conducted. He said, when you can pass it on, write it on pen and paper, then why don't you do that instead of cluttering your mind? Now, for those of you who are tech savvy and who say that, yeah, we can do all this on digital, great, go ahead. And for those of you who are somewhere in between this, take a look, write down what your calendar is telling you, and then take an image of that. When you update, you can always update your photo, the one which you have in your schedule, in your camera, and you can actually even share it through that with your team, with your friends, anybody, to say, okay, this is what my calendar looks like. I know we have all these options available to us in the technology world, but using a combination of this is helpful. And for me, last but not the least, it's very big help for my family, because they can look at my schedule and look at my calendar and say, okay, she's busy today, let's plan this for her, with her, tomorrow or day after, or sometime in August. Anything is fine. So please go ahead, use the 3-month calendar schedule and let me know how this goes. Thank you for now. Bye. Take care.